Ugh. Oh. Yep, Bobby. And map. Ay. 5 minutes of just sitting here and figured out this would have been something. Boo. Boo. Not even a comment or anything. Do. I got our first little bowls smoked up for today. Yeah. Man. Oh, man. I'll admit. Kind of woke up in a mood. Just in a mood. Listen, fucking ow! Just fucking pitched myself. How in the oh! Ow! That did not feel good. What the the fuck? Anyway. Ay. Well, today's definitely a mood, and I think it confirms it. But I will admit, the internet is continuing to break me, I think, with its stupidity. That's somehow like a challenge for the internet. Like, that's just kind of what it does. But it's pushing limits. It is definitely pushing some limits. First, let's get this down. There we go. What the fuck is this? There's all weird. Well, layers want to bunch up for some reason. What the fuck? Got like 5 layers. Because why not? 5,000 layers. There we go. That's more comfortable. Fucking hell. Seriously? That's just nice and convenient. Side of my jacket fucking skimming my bowl off. That's just some bullshit. There we go. On vent stream. I'm doing this. You fucking pop on. I gotta work later. No way I'm gonna be bobbing over that shit. That's good conjuncture. Doing this. As soon as I'm finished this, going to work. Then I come back. Doing it again. If I'm on my like lunch break or something, I could see about popping in. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Ah, good and wake a bake. Yeah. Let's get a little tunage popped up. A little bit of tunage. The go on ramblings of the internet of today. United the EU and made EU a client state. Or Russia into EU client state. Damn. So you're just doing what NATO wishes they can do. You're doing basically what NATO wants to do. It's like, oh yeah, let's just like have all of Europe and then just like make Russia a client state. And you gotta change the name of your other account, of your other channel, dude. At least the numbers make it obvious. Oh my god, don't even fucking get me started that shit. Or I want to go off on a little tangent about fucking... It's just America, I guess, alone. Just let alone, like, fucking humanity. But yeah, I just predominantly love to hate this country, frankly. Honestly. It was like watching some YouTube shorts when I woke up. Just kind of skimming through them. And I happened to pop on one that happened to be about FDR. And fucking straight up it was pretty much just about like how he likes, you know, how like he was a hunter or whatever. But at the same time, you know, was somebody that pushed the National Firearms Act, the NFA. And essentially, like, the entire short was basically just like trying to like pretty much let's just kind of make him look like some sort of an absolute like type of fucking hypocrite with the issue. Because it was like, oh yeah, like this, you know, FDR had like a collection of like a double barrel, a fucking Springfield bolt action, and like a revolver and like a few other guns and stuff. But yet apparently also because polio couldn't go hunting anymore, and basically would let other people do it for him and shit. And apparently, like, it made it out so it kind of looked like because he was butthurt, he made the NFA just because he couldn't use guns and shit. And the entire comments of, like, every fucking comment was like, oh, tyrant, the FDR tyrant. Oh, wish he died of polio sooner, this and that, and all this other shit. It's like, fucking America is just nothing more than just, like, a revisionist of what reality is. It's like truly the world's fucking Florida. Full of fucking, like, debauchery, fucking greed, fascistic tendencies of just, like, every kind. It's like, the country's shit. And frankly, it's like, you're not a true American unless you fucking hate it. At least that's how I feel it. What else was in that, like, short that I was really grinding my fucking gears? Oh. Like, there was a few comments being like, oh, yeah, he was also an avid, like, socialistic communist or whatever the fuck. People were trying to, like, basically, you know, say, hey, you know, we're fucking, you know, just, like, outright, you know, fucking basically just saying, like, oh, even though he had, like, some, like, really at most democratic socialistic policies, mainly because of the New Deal and shit, apparently that makes him, like, an over-communist or some shit. And also there was, like, you know, tangential, like, comments like, oh yeah, you know, you shouldn't have helped the Soviet Union in World War II either. I'm just like, dude, what the fuck is with these Nazi pieces of shit? Let me go around collecting food boxes because we're broke and need food. Well, again, it's like, there ain't really a true American unless you fucking hate this country. Because that's just, like, unfortunately a part of the reality of living in it. I've had to do it too before. So, I mean, don't really feel that bad about it. You look like you just woke up. Yeah. Just a very quiet, yeah. Been pretty food security this last few months. I've responded to it. I mean, I'm not exactly food secure either. I mean, the only thing that's keeping me from being insecure is the fact of where I work. Like, if it wasn't for the job that I work at, yeah, I'd be fucking hella food insecure too, dude. I mean, that's basically the only thing that's keeping me from that. Again, it's just a part of, you know, being in this fucking country. At least if you're, you know, not a part of that top 10%. When it comes to just like the outright abhorrent fucking greed that this country represents. And just, like I said, also the fascistic tendency too. Because that's just a part of it. Basically the whole, like, you know, eliminate the weak, you know, so the strong live type of shit. Because, oh, if you're not strong enough to basically, you know, sustain yourself and shit, then you're too weak to survive type of thing. That's like how a lot of fucking fascists, you know, think, essentially. Which is a fucking poisonous, horrible fucking idea anyway. It's like we don't live in goddamn fucking little tribal societies anymore and shit. And even then, that's not even how, like, tribal societies fucking thought. They didn't just, like, leave their weakest link of their tribe, you know, to just die or some shit. Like, just too many, like, archaeological sites and accounts of, like, different camps and different, like, tribal, you know, peoples that we've recovered that show that, like, yeah, they took care of their sickly and their elders and shit like that. Which kind of goes in contradiction of, like, the weak die and the strong survive. It's like, evidently, humanity wasn't like that. So, I also find it curious that the same motherfuckers that always, you know, go off about shit like that tend to be the most weakest looking fucking cowardly shitbags ever. And the most, like, inhuman of the most, of all of us, too. At least when it comes to, you know, just, like, their actions and, like, how they are. Versus, you know, like, at least what they look like. Because that's the most, you know, freakishly thing about it. Could just look like anybody. What you doing? What you doing? What? You're giving me a stare down. What is it? Little goof. There we go. Yeah, I'll give you a treat. Just one for right now. That's it. Good boy. Little goof. Man, that fucking cretinous little shitbag fucking subhuman Matt Walsh is really making rounds, isn't he? To be fair, I guess he has been making, well, I guess like every fucking thing he says is a hot take, I guess, but like pretty much he's been making exceptionally more so as of late. Just like, oh yeah, just like white supremacy basically is good. Almost need to just like die. Fucking, you know, need to like execute cure people and shit. It's like at this point, like, I mean, I don't even know if I can even say it. Like, at this point, it needs to be like a patriotic duty to, something. I'll just say something. To do something. Fucking outright, like, goddamn menace to fucking society. As far as I'm concerned, a fucking terrorist. And an over fucking Nazi. Openly calls himself a theocratic fascist anyway. So, this game puts you with common supply and we should hurry up and leave. Well, hey, maybe he could do a thing or two to, I don't know, help, but I guess instead of doing that, he'd rather bitch and whine just like any other typical fascist shitbag. Which is basically, like, again, how a lot of them want to fucking act. It's like, instead of actually, like, you know, having some introspection and doing things themselves and shit, and seeing themselves as the root cause of, like, every fucking problem, they'd rather blame everyone else and make them the fucking issue and make them have to do it. Lord ever fucking forbid if, you know, a fascist or, you know, anything like that is ever fucking held accountable to anything. Especially considering, you know, when it comes to, like, especially, like, any fucking issue. Oh, it's just like, yeah, there's problems with police and shit. Nope, must be those damn blacks. Oh, is there a problem with, like, you know, suicidal and trans people? Oh, it's just because there's a woke, gay, queer, trainee agenda being pushed or some shit. Oh, is there, like, a problem with, like, child sexual abuse? Oh, it can't be the churches. It has to be the queers. It's like, economic dish is going shit. Oh, it must be those goddamn fucking communists. Can never be me. Can never be, you know, maybe me being the source of any of these fucking problems. It's like me, an outright fucking fascist piece of shit that does nothing to actually, you know, have any introspection about a thing or shit like or anything. Eh. Who needs that? It's not just inherently a fascist quality, but it's more or less especially a fucking, an egregiously, fucking, just like an American one, really. Which is why America is so like, fascistic. It's just because, like, so much of its nature is. Whereas when one of the tires pop, oh wait, one of the tires pop is serious. It's my fault. Dude, fuck him. Like he doesn't know the fucking situation when it comes to that anyway. If he wants to just like blindly assume, then he can go fuck himself. First time doing so. What, airing up a tire? You really, like, unless those things start bulging and shit, like, you most likely didn't overinflate. It probably was just already, like, a weak tire and probably, you know, was already having a leak, and then when airing it up, it probably just busted further. Chances are it already was probably, you know, having a problem. Hence it popping. And I imagine the Alabama road infrastructure doesn't exactly make it smooth, you know, drive either. He's a bit of cheapskate when it comes to things, so it's his fucking fault then. Maybe I should get a good quality tire that actually lasts and maybe it won't fucking pop. So it's actually his fault. See what I mean? God fucking forbid a far right when you're ever is held accountable to a fucking thing. Especially fascistic ones. It's like basically the only time they ever hold themselves accountable is if they think they were weak on something. It's like, you know, I didn't handle that like the man I should have. I'm gonna be a lot more fucking harder about it next time. Like, this basically is what the fuck they think. It's like if they do have introspection, it's how to be more of a fucking brute and a fucking barbarian. And more inhuman than human. I just really don't want to hear him whine and complain about it. Well, quit telling him to whine like a snowflake and go to his little safe space about it. Probably don't do that. That actually will probably get him real riled up. Though that's kind of the reason why I'd say it. It's just so I can rile him up about it. Because, again, it'd be his own damn problem. He's gonna whine a bitch about it because deep down he knows it's his fucking fault for buying a stupid cheap tire. We almost lost control, ran into a tree. Well, yeah, I imagine when, you know, like, driving around and almost losing control and shit, yeah, I imagine it's not exactly gonna be great and fun or not stressful at all, you know? 100% not stressful whatsoever. Though honestly, I would just tell him to pipe the fuck down, though. It's like it was your tire that you fucking bought. Should have bought a better quality one. Now shut up. Vacha's life? What are you doing, Voosh?
This is very much like this is like the legal structure of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was notoriously legalistic. They kept paperwork on everything. They had an incredibly active...
What's going on here?
I say thriving here, not necessarily in a good way. Let's say engaged criminal justice system, where there were so many laws and what you could and couldn't do, could or couldn't say, that, to be honest, if you lived in the Soviet Union, you had broken one of those laws. Probably multiple. I
probably broke all the laws.
Live without having broken those laws. It's just an inevitable part of life. They're naturally unavoidable. They're contradictory. They're mutually exclusive sometimes, but it doesn't matter. And that doesn't matter. Unless the state decides you're an issue. Maybe you do something that isn't explicitly illegal in the Soviet Union. Maybe you work For the Politburo, and you say a couple of off-color remarks, there are a few jokes you make that don't technically flag any laws, but make you look a little bit suspicious. Maybe you're just a lazy worker. And all of a sudden, all of the little things you've done that everyone has done that are illegal technically matter, and the state gets you on those. It's kind of like the whole they got Capone on tax evasion thing, except if the system was set up in such a way that
I mean, judging by like this thing he's frozen on, I'm assuming he's talking about the book bans and shit, considering library reading material requirements, free from pornography, which
Does that make any sense?
I don't think any fucking school at all has ever had that in there.
A lot of people make jokes.
And free from instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity,
like
K through
ban
3.
a bunch of stuff. It would ban teachers.
I don't think that's even happening either.
Heterosexual.
I got sex ed like earliest at
about childbirth
5th grade.
because that would involve talking about
Maybe a little bit, you know,
No, it won't.
maybe like 4th grade, a little bit tangentially, but predominantly in 5th and 6th grade. That's when we first started getting it.
Everything is banned.
For your discrimination, like that's already in place. It's already a thing, I would imagine. Oh, I see why that's there, because they want to make us so free of discrimination against Christians and right-wingers, and they're fucking feeling. Oh, I see. Okay.
Also, how Nazi Germany functioned, though less so because they were not as legalistic.
The good news here, I'm just narrowed down to Missouri and Arizona.
They know they're lying. They're aware of the fact that they're
pressure Arizona. Just go there.
A way of selectively enforcing them, and they don't.
Missouri ain't really that better.
Just like sunset laws and Jim Crow laws. Yep, they've done this all the time. There are so many laws that were used to enforce discrimination, if you go back far enough, that technically, broadly prohibited like a lot of stuff, you know?
I'm curious, fascists in America today are still trying to do that.
Come across an inappropriate book in their classroom and wouldn't remove it.
Educators who violate this law could face a third-degree felony. Duval County Schools announced Monday they're taking further steps to comply with state laws. Covey says he can't blame the school district, but thinks it's punishing students.
It's hurting their education.
Well, no shit it is.
I have a feeling it's a lot to
That's
do
the purpose
with
of it.
African American studies and in trying to control what kids can and cannot learn.
DCPS says the district will soon provide school staff with more specific guidance on the review process. Kobe says that a book fair was happening at his kid's school while those books in the library were being removed. DCPS says...
Why are they complying? Because they could be arrested if they don't and be hit with a third-degree felony. Didn't you hear?
Once a book is deemed appropriate,
that's just insane.
It will be added to a public database that the community...
So you ain't a real American unless you fucking hate this country because of shit like this.
...have access to. That's where they can see each book that will be available to their kids.
So... in more literal terms, they are actually unironically creating a whole ministry of truth. This is the approved book list. Like this is sincerely a template model at the highest level of authority.
I mean, this is basically just like a ministry of like culture and ethics and like what is proper culture and ethics, you know, for the nation. Like this essentially is what's going on. It's like literally an inherently like outright like Naziistic, you know, idea and shit. Where it's just like, oh yes, let's have a, you know, culture and ethics board and like, you know, use this as, you know, to enforce, you know, lawfully, you know, what is and isn't, you know, good ethics or culture. Which it's just insane. And of course, it's, you know, Florida, Texas, and predominantly a lot of the South and the Midwest is trying to push, you know, a lot of this type of shit, either statewide or local wide. And who hurts from it? Literally everybody else.
Present here.
It really ain't just the kids that get hurt.
You will be arrested if the materials that you have in your possession do not comply with our limited state registry. But
yeah, if not, you get to be locked in a cage for doing your job. Nice.
And they'll say that Democrats are the authoritarian ones because we like couldn't go out to bars for 3 months in 2020.
I hate that. It really gets to that point about like FDR being like that tyrant, like I was ranting about a little bit earlier, because just like, I mean, these stupid fucking Nazi shitbags, you know, want to think that like the Democrats or like, you know, anyone who's liberal, progressive, or socialistic are like a bunch of authoritarians just because they can't be a bunch of fucking subhuman trash. And it's just like, Oh, wow, go figure. So, it's like, yeah, no wonder you probably think we are all authoritarian, you shits, because, like, your type of ideas of what, like, liberty is basically, trying to scare and intimidate and oppress everybody else underneath you. With all your fucking guns and with all your fucking, freedom to discriminate and shit. You want to try to push and enforce fucking laws that, protect you, but no one else. Because you want your little fifis and your little minority supremacist fucking view and shit to be enforced. Man, fuck these Americanized fucking Nazis and shit, dude.
Is a felony charge for distributing banned books unconstitutional? Well, it would be a felony charge for displaying them in schools at this point. When do we get this bedpost? Never. As for whether or not any of this is unconstitutional, the God's honest truth is that the Constitution is also incredibly vague and up to interpretation, and you'll never guess who the current interpreters are by a 6-3 margin.
The far right. Smoking on a blunt right now. I'm lit. Nice. Obviously, I'm getting dummy thick, dummy thick high. For myself. I skip hoping that there would maybe be a speaking, but no, it's just Vosh still being silent.
You're all probably familiar with the Tyre Nichols body cam footage release and all of
the... fuck, is he getting into that? Oh, God.
The discourse that surrounded it.
I'm here now.
After doing this for 4 years, I'm finding it difficult to come up with new ways of talking about how much I hate the police. Though in this case...
At least legally. At least that's how I would say it. Legally able to find ways to talk about the police, with how much I hate them.
To the situation that makes it, I guess, a little bit more...
Gotcha, bitch.
Worthy of looking into.
Gotcha, you little fruit fly, bitch.
A bunch of people on YouTube, I'm sure, are going over the extent of the violence that was inflicted. Tyre Nichols? Not Tyre?
Is it actually?
Is it Tyre or Tyree?
Tyree, yeah,
That makes more sense.
I thought it was Tyree,
Tyree. That makes more sense. Did I not say Tyree?
I thought he did.
Tyree.
We shit on Vosh for not being commie enough.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Like, there's honestly, I mean, I legit bet if those tankies actually, sat down and went point by point on every take Vosh has ever had, I mean, it likely would probably be, 85+%, agreement. And I would probably be more about, 90, 95% probably, or some shit, honestly, the 5% that I do have disagreement with, yeah, I have more passionate disagreement with, but fundamentally, it's, I still agree with most of his shit,
First of all, the footage is unimaginably cruel.
Is this some of that cam?
I genuinely don't even know if I can show it on YouTube. Really, I don't. I would test...
We're talking to fascists.
Of the...
I mean, I don't... Yeah, I mean, I might have maybe an issue here and there, but honestly, the way... At least on the concept of maybe talking to them, but... How Vosh goes about it is actually the correct way to do it. It's challenging their ideas and, poking holes in their Swiss cheese ideas. And honestly, there's been a lot of fascists that even later down the line would have a call-in with him being yeah, I'm not a fascist anymore. They might still be kind of a centrist or a lib, maybe, or even maybe somewhat still kind of conservative on some things, but hey, I mean, they're nowhere near as far right as they were. And isn't that better than being an outright fascist? Yes, I would say so.
Platform. Giving it a shot. They're just murdering him. That's it. It's not, there's no ambiguity. There's no, maybe it's this or that. He was attacked, harassed, beleaguered by one set of cops who he fled from, and then another group of cops came over and beat him to death. There was no ambiguity at all. Completely straightforward.
Just give it fascists a boot. Well, predominantly, sure.
Really, it went on for a while. There's just...
But in between the boot, if there's some that are willing to, bleed out of that, then, take the ones that, that slowly get, shaved off.
I could look at it and say, hey, this is bad while it happens. You're going to have to find it yourself. It's been posted on YouTube and videos covering it have 100K plus views. Yeah, trust me, stuff being posted on YouTube does not mean it's safe to post on YouTube. You know, there's naked yoga on YouTube, but if I flashed 3 minutes of pussy on screen, I'd probably get in trouble for that too. Not worth the risk, and also not worth the analysis. It was bad.
Yeah.
If you want a summary of the situation in the most... What? Yeah. In the most neutral language they can muster. Officers tased, pepper sprayed, and brutally beat 29-year-old Tyree Nichols during a January 7th traffic stop. The footage split into 4 videos. Police can be heard yelling at him to get out of his car and forcibly removing him from the car. The video has been described by law enforcement and attorneys for Nichols' family as absolutely appalling, alarming, and unconscionable. It's so bad that the governor denounced it, didn't they? Or was it the mayor? Video show officers...
So I know their police unit didn't back him up.
Face, striking him at least 3 to 4 times with a baton in the upper body area, punching him at least 4 times in the face, punching him at least 2 more times in the upper body area, and kicking him at least twice in the abdomen. First video is around 11 minutes, goes on for a while. The second video, about 30 minutes long, is taken from a Skycop camera at Castlegate and Bear Creek Lane. 2 officers violently pushing him to the ground as he tries to turn over. Then a 3rd officer appears to kick him multiple times in the face. They beat him to death. It's... yeah.
Ugh.
Not much to it beyond that. What I do want to talk about...
Capital punishment be a thing for cops?
Tyree Nichols beating fun.
It's like, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even saying that unironically.
Horses. Get me in trouble.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, these 5 pigs, you know, when it comes to the judicial process, need a hanging. Judicially. You know, they're gonna have their day in court. I just hope that capital punishment's the fucking, you know, thing that they get. Is this the audio to it?
I'm very sorry, but I wasn't able to make very much. We can hear that? Yeah, I know. We can hear the audio? I know. There's sound? Really? Is there a sound in what I was listening to?
Yes, there indeed was sound. I could tell it's going to be some...
You're saying my shit is burning because of the pepper spray? Not that was fun. I couldn't even make out what he was saying there. Stop! The links. I want to talk about this. Opinion. The police who killed Tyree Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven by racism.
No shit.
End wokeness. How is this not satire? 58K likes.
Wait, what? How's it not satire? Because it isn't, you stupid fucking dipshit.
Resident expert on what is or is not racist.
Oh my god. I hate right-wingers so much.
Yeah.
I hate these fucking pieces of shit so fucking much.
There are a couple of angles you can take this from. I do find it noteworthy, and this keeps cropping up over and over and over again, that conservatives are very capable of understanding self-hate within a demographic group, as long as it's only within dominant power groups. So conservatives will accuse male feminists of being self-hating men. And conservatives will accuse like white lefties of being like self-hating for being white, like, you know, white guilt types, you know? I hear this all the time from conservatives. But when you suggest that black people might be able to be racist against other black people, all of a sudden it's just incomprehensible to them. Makes no sense. Absolutely not. It's like, what?
So like, what? That's just not how they act? I thought this is what their behavior was. What? Yeah, it basically is how they fucking think. I mean, if anything, they always like hyper highlight the whole like, oh, black on black crime. They always fucking harp on that for the racist bullshit.
The systems in place that lead to this being a problem, that lead to bias against black people in the criminal justice system with police and what have you, that lead to brutality against them. These systems are depersonalized and systemic by nature. They're not. They're not an expression of interpersonal bias. Interpersonal bias can play into it, but I'd ask you, you know, here's a question, okay? Now, if we're back in the 1930s, in the Jim Crow South, in a very black area, right? Let's say somebody there.
The 1350 meme and I face palmed.
An injury.
Yeah.
And after
they still use that
suffered,
shit.
You know, the hospital is called to try and bring them.
Third population would have crime.
But it takes ages for them to get there.
And it's like because of the policing, you dingbat. It's like because it's inherently a racist thing. Why do you think it's like that, you dumb shit?
Around the country that
it's not just because somehow black people are just like somehow racially inclined to crime or something, which is insane. Which if anything, realistically, it'd be white people. But the only reason why is because there's literally way more white people in America than black people. So that would be the reason. So it's not even like it's just stupid.
Maybe not guaranteed, but at least
if anything, like white people should be doing most of the crimes and shit, including from my own experience, seeing people walk out the door at my grocery store stealing shit. It's predominantly white people that are doing it.
I think it's fair to say.
I mean, it's like goddamn.
Issues with
fucking idiots, dude.
It's very rarely do you get.
Oh, by the way, a lot of those same people that run out the door don't usually ever get caught. The very rare time, I'll turn this down more. But the very rare times when people do get caught tend to be either like really stupid white meth head criminal types, or fucking, you know, the occasional black person that might, you know, come in that might be trying to take some food, you know, like. You know, which would basically be anybody else, you know, at this point, because who the fuck is going to be, you know, trying to pay for groceries at this point, unless you have, like, you know, decent savings to do so. Shit's getting expensive. Like, it's like, wouldn't you, it's like, I definitely don't blame people, you know, if you see someone struggle pay before me, no, you didn't. Yeah, honestly, there was somebody that checked out some stuff and had some Drano, and he had it like way off to the side, and I honestly thought it was already there before he walked up. But, you know, as I checked him out and gave him his food, he picked it up and left, and honestly, I was gonna say something, I was like, it's fucking Drano. You know, he probably, you know, whatever. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do with Drano to, like, get high off of or whatever, you know? It's like, it's Drano, for fuck's sake. Like, it was literally one thing of it, I didn't care. And honestly, I wouldn't really care if it was like a beer or like if it was like baby formula or anything else, honestly. I wouldn't care if it was a gallon of milk.
Necessarily the case, right? You could conceive a situation.
I mean, it's just like, whatever. I mean, honestly, it was literally just one thing. And it's because, and honestly, he also at least paid for some of his shit, so whatever.
And they have
honestly, you know, if someone's at least paying for some stuff, but yeah, is walking out for like 3 or 4 other items, maybe they're more expensive items that they kind of hit it off or whatever. What the fuck ever.
Yeah, they
paid.
Have a male partner and act
I just didn't see that. Huh. Maybe they forgot they had it.
That specific instance. Well,
no, you can buy alcohol on Sunday.
But when we talk about violence against women broadly, we are talking about misogyny, aren't we?
Yeah, you can buy alcohol like every day of the week. It's like, I think from 7 to 2:30, or like 7:30 to 2:30 or something like that. Or 6:30 or 5:30. It's something like that. 5:30 a.m. I think, or like 6:30 a.m. to like 2:30 a.m. There's only like a certain time in the middle of the night where you can't buy it.
Because I want to make it perfectly clear that
which honestly, for me, I feel like it's okay and reasonable.
The death of Tyree.
I'm not exactly like happy, you know. It's like, oh well, because there's sometimes where it's like 2:30 a.m. and I'm like, I want one more beer, but I can't get one now. So it's like it kind of sucks a little bit every now and then, but it's not really that big of a deal. You can't buy alcohol on Sunday because God, even though you can have, you know, Jesus' blood, which is wine. You can drink wine,
a lot of those black people have some often very,
but it has to be in a weird cult-like ritual to have it.
Because they grew out of it, and they remember all the bad days they had in the ghetto, and they think, well, I was able to get out of it, so those other folk who didn't, well, that means that they're the bad ones. You know? And some of them cozy on to white people who say they're one of the good ones because they got out of that situation, and so on and so on. So in ways, you can have a kind of like internalized self-hatred or a survivorship bias that manifests as racism. Oh, immigrants do this all the time. That's true, Holic Master.
Oh, yeah.
So, I say it again.
I kind of know what Vosh is talking about. Like, hey, I made it, so you know, I'm one of the good ones. I was able to figure it out and make it, pull myself by the bootstraps, basically. And the people that didn't are just, you know, haven't been able to figure it out and are not the good ones because they just can't do it or whatever the fuck. It's a survivalist bias, basically. It gets interwoven into a lot of racist shit. Like, survivalist bias usually doesn't have to be that way, but I mean, because I know people who will have a survivalist bias, but it's not interwoven in this idea at all with like being like, oh, you're the lesser ones now, you know, because of X, Y, or Z. It's just like, well, I did it, so why can't you? Like, that's usually just what the survivalist bias comes into play, but where the racist shit comes into is like, oh, I made it. Are you not one of the good ones? Is that why you can't do it? That's kind of where the racist shit gets in play.
Who would patrol the edges of the Mason-Dixon.
Your mom found a house 2 blocks from the Mexican border, dude. Hey, if you get a passport, you could go back and forth to Mexico, like, all the fucking time, bro. I have a passport. Dude, if you actually were able to live there, I could go to Mexico, like, whenever, like, while I was there. Just walk down to the border, be like, hey, gotta go to Mexico, visit for a little bit? Dude, I'd actually be down for that. Just, like, visit Mexico just on the other side. Dude, why not? Dude, hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just a hired gang that works for,
dude,
the mayor or...
Try to push her on that one. Try to push her on that. I'm not even fucking kidding, dude. That'd be dope. Dude, imagine going to like a Mexican bar on the other side of the border and having some fun, you know, like with some of the like, you know, some of like the local like 20-year-olds and shit at their bars and stuff. Dude, I bet it'd be fun.
Like gangs of New York. Like gangs of New York. I mean, you can imagine it kind of like the difference between having
get cheaper insulin.
With its own
America.
That are state and
of course.
You know,
well, push her for it, man. I mean, honestly, especially because of the whole cheaper insulin thing. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
You would literally
do it.
Police, and they were just like,
she wouldn't even have to like drive down there at that point. If she got like an electric scooter, she could just kind of like just kind of cruise her way down there, dude. And electric scooters aren't that expensive. So yeah,
you know, Tammany Hall.
Yeah, that would absolutely be very affordable for her.
Du Bois, you know, in a
I mean, I don't know how like the property is in itself, but that would actually be a good long-term investment for other things that she would want, you know, when it comes to insulin and, you know, and stuff like that. So I definitely would, you know, I've been meaning to hit her up again. I actually haven't chatted her up in a while, but yeah, but either way.
Goon Squad, exactly. They were the Goon Squad before it even became a kink. Can you believe it?
Within 20 miles of the border is generally safe.
But one of the biggest...
I would honestly tend to agree with that for the most part. I will admit, it probably does depend on where on the border. Like, I'm sure some places along the border are probably a little more sketch because of, like, you know, cartel coyotes and, you know, cartel smuggling and shit. But they also have tunnels, too, so generally you probably aren't going to see them in the first place. But still, I mean, there's still an off chance that, you know, maybe some smaller, you know, cartels adjacent to bigger ones might, you know, be doing other shit, too. So, I mean, I'm sure some places, you know, it does depend. But, yeah, especially, like, when you're near town or in town, like, yeah, you're going to be fine. It's more like when you're in the middle of fucking nowhere where you probably are going to be a little, you know, a little weary about. Because you don't know what's really going to be out there. And not even really because of people, but just because of wildlife, mainly. Rattlesnakes, you know, packs of coyotes. I mean, like, coyotes, like the animal, you know, so it's just like, I mean, you know, that, like, the wilderness would probably get you, and honestly, that's how most people die out there along the border. It's not because of other people and shit, it's because of the wildlife and nature. The environment itself is just that deadly. People die of dehydration within days out there. I like how we just have Vosh on this entire time. Let's talk about Beverly Hills and National Guard.
Just erupted into flame. A lot of wacky stuff happened in Los Angeles.
Well, yeah, honestly, once you learn a little bit of Spanish and, you know, have a passport and kind of go across the border more frequently, dude, you'd definitely have some friends.
You know? And when the National Guard finally arrived, you know, one of the things they did, one of the things they prioritized was forming a perimeter to block off Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills had a lot of wealthy people in They didn't mind.
Also, who knows? You might find a cute little LGBT, Hispanic guy or gal, Who knows? You never know.
Some parts of the city where black people lived, where Koreans lived. But Beverly Hills, they didn't mind. They didn't want anything too terrible going on down there. So they...
Oh, I think he's talking about the,
allowed black people to...
the Rodney King riots.
To fight with Koreans, to be subject to state violence, to be ground and controlled. But only in the right area.
Yeah.
Only in the
I love how, honestly, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, like, that basically talk about, like, the rooftop Koreans or whatever the fuck, and it's just like, that wouldn't have happened if the cops literally didn't, like, break up a riot and corral, the entire fucking chaotic, quote, like, it just, well, at this point it was a riot, but at first it was probably just an unlawful assembly, but then eventually rolled out into a riot. It's like, yeah, like, when you start pushing, corralling people into an entire another fucking community like that, like, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen, dipshit? It's just like, I mean, it just, like, people seem to heavily leave that part out.
Battle bus drop zone.
It's like, literally, it wasn't even fundamentally anyone's real fault besides the fucking cops for doing that.
The National Guard formed a blue danger zone, sort of enclosed around certain parts of Los Angeles. Where are we dropping, boys? Koreatown, as it turned out. Sorry.
Damn, look at that.
I was looking for a good picture. I couldn't find the one I was thinking of. There's a famous photo of them blocking off a part of Beverly Hills. I think you can see the sign right next to them. I wasn't able to find it with some cursory Google searching. Bad time for LA. The point I'm getting at is that the situation we're in today is kind of inextricably linked to the history of racism, and for that reason, our police are the way they are, even if they're acting in ways that are not individually racist, are definitely affected by that history of racism. Let's say you have a white police officer murdering a white person, like one of those times an autistic white guy gets shot because the cop will be like, okay, like perfectly.
Or that guy who was in the hotel room. I was talking about this the other night with the dude who was getting contradictory orders in the hallway, and the cop had the gun that he had ingrained "you're fucked" on it, just mag dumping him and shit. Yeah, there's that happens often.
However, the reason our police are so militarized, so jumpy, so paranoid and fearful is in large part because they see their role as occupying dangerous territory. And the reason why the occupation of our dangerous cities is so racialized is because after white flight, following World War II, after white people left industry in inner city areas and went out to suburbs that they alone were given because black people were not allowed to benefit from the GI Bill, our inner city areas became those poor, dangerous, racialized areas that police considered their occupation of to be just that, an occupation. Not citizen police officers working to protect their fellow city dwellers, but rather out-of-towners going into downtown in order to police them directly.
Yep, and just to enforce that idea, about 90% of the Oregon Police Bureau in Portland, 90+% of them come from outside of Portland, from places like Vancouver, and like Canby, and like all and like bit more conservative areas like Estacada and shit like that. So they come from outside of town, from more predominantly like kind of conservative areas, and come into Portland to be cops in a place where obviously they're inherently not going to like.
As a product of these historical and demographic trends, directly affects why they're the way they are today. You think it's a coincidence American police are so violent? Why they specifically dress up like riot cops all the time, no matter what's happening? Why they specifically are so jumpy? Why they specifically kill so many more people than other police precincts and departments? Part of it is the fact that, yes, we do have a lot more guns here in the States, which means there's going to be a bias towards the threat of mutual firearm violence, but a lot of it is also, the fact that police are operating on trends that have been popularized based on racism and its effects in this country. That makes sense?
Yeah, pretty eloquently put.
Feel like
and agreeable.
I feel like that's understandable.
At least for the parts that I tuned into. But I feel like, from the parts that, I was missing out on, I feel like, obviously, I would also still agree with. Because, honestly, like, what he's saying is just frankly, 110% correct. I mean, I say the same shit, just worded not as eloquently.
So, these guys here, were they interpersonally racist in the sense of they have a diminutive or condescending or paternalistic attitude towards other black people as a product of their personal experiences? Maybe.
Possibly.
It's not impossible. But I think you can fairly claim that racism had a lot to do with what happened here with the murder of Kyrie, whether or not that's the case. You just can't extract that from this system.
Our system is inherently driven on it. I mean, it's structured off of it. So, I mean, it's like the idea they can try and take it out of the equation is just ridiculous. It's a part of the formula of the equation.
Go about explaining all this to conservatives, though? Well, I'd start with finger puppets, for one.
Finger puppets?
Sorry, I know that was a bit more talky than a lot of people's coverage of this. I know a lot of people are just, they're showing you the footage and they're going, look at how bad that was. But y'all know how bad this was, don't you? I mean, not to say there's nothing worthwhile about reminding yourself of the capacity police officers have for cruelty, but, I think that element of the subject has been covered. I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, and these fucking cops, I mean, like I said, when it comes to their day in court, I hope capital punishment is the, judgment they get. Obviously, unfortunately, I don't think that will be the case. I mean, honestly, I would hope that would be actually the genuine case, but I don't think that will be. Wanted to. Feel the same for Derek Chauvin still. But of course, I don't think, that would happen either. Let's get close to 3. Hey, little boo-boo. Hi, little boy. Oh, boy. Man, work's gonna be nice and fun this night. Actually, it shouldn't be too bad, I think. Yeah, I got him till 5. I don't really have a mid. Should be okay. I think we'll be fine. Hopefully. I guess we'll find out once I get off work. Aye. But in conclusion, America sucks. Cops here suck. A lot of people here suck because of how fucking goddamn, fascistic, the small chunk of our population is and how fucking militantly, violently, vocal they are about it. Fucking, theocracy running amok. Destroying freedom while ostensibly having a veneer of freedom. Gotta love it. America. World's Florida. But anyway. Peace out, and of course, I'll be back around for the next one, so.